I think maybe it was last Cheep, like talking about the value of being a 3D printer. Right.
In whatever materials required, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I was looking around, like, so I've been doing this project at the moment, and I'm looking across like all the schools in New South Wales and like studying their patterns and so forth. And as a result, I'm seeing a lot of small communities.
Yeah.
Like, there's much more small communities than there are large communities, and some of them look really nice. Like literally, I look at some of these places, and I'm like, wow, it would have been really cool to be a kid there. You know, like it looks like it would have
to grow up in that area. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been very validating as a human experience. I am
collecting the data, the early datas.
Yeah, about how to, and but I started thinking about like future stories, you know, like say for example, like coming into like as I was going through. So if there's like all these like there's schools in all these small places, then that must mean there's some kind of locally kind of IT person-ish person around the area. Otherwise, you wouldn't really, you know, there'd be trouble that you don't want to have
keep the connections. Yeah,
you don't have to drive someone into some distant community in New South Wales just to do a task.
You'd hope that someone provides those services locally.
Yeah.
Elsewise, someone who services that area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like going out there and going, oh yeah, I'm an IT guy, probably isn't really very useful. And it's sort of like I was thinking about it, like what would be a thing that, like if you were to go to like an area, and what I thought about was actually being a print shop, you know, like parts, basically a 3D print shop where you come out to like an area, small community, you know, like a series of small communities, and the thing you bring out isn't being a plumber, your trade or whatever you bring out. Is that you can just print out any part. So someone comes in and they need a manifold for their tractor, or you know, like an old, like say having a ship from Japan, you can just
they just take the pattern and then out comes the product equivalent with the same material.
You know, Frank. Yeah, no worries. No, good, thanks. And I think that would be a really valuable thing. And so you'd go out there with the skills and you'd have the machines to print. But I think the real modern solution would be the thing to solve is where you go out to one of those communities and you actually start to you complete the loop. Basically, you take materials from there, like the things that you're printing
is localized from materials that have been recycled from the general area.
Yeah, basically you just go down the tip and just, you know, pick up a bunch of whatever.
And that goes in the little grinder machine and then creates the you know, plastic, the powder or whatever, which is going to be converted into the thing. Yeah,
metals, and I think that would be really cool. Like you imagine out in those communities, and there's like older cars and older things, and
things that are basically no longer, even the manufacturers stop producing the parts for it. That's it.
I think that would be a really valuable role. You know, like I was even thinking about like yourself or myself, like, you know, becoming sort of like that homeless mode, and then, you know, leaving the city.
touring fix-it dudes that can print the stuff and make the things and
and maybe you've got a scanner and tolerances and stuff, and you can like the software, and so someone can bring in a busted part, and then you can like
you basically just scan the busted parts and then put it back together as a full part, and then actually do the process of printing it all out. No, that'd work. Like the only thing is like costing, like to be able to run the equipment to do the manufacturing of the thing, to break it down so the costing was, like you said, you know, recycling the local materials or, you know, minerals, or hitting the, you know, the local tip, and then just scabbing up all the things you need to make to whatever it is, you know, the different materials, doing the breakdowns of that with the machine, you know, the energy required to do that and then to re-extrude it, you know.
It can be very high. Yeah, recycling's folly generally.
Yeah. Once that was brought down to a position where it was super cheap just to throw a handful of shit into that, and then boom, out it comes. Yeah, and you're just running it off solar panels or whatever, so you don't even have to tap in. Yeah.
You want you know how like there's like gears and steppers, various other things that leverage.
Of course.
You want something that does that with like solar or heat, like so. Like imagine like a tiered magnification system. So instead of needing to have like a massive array, focusing it all on one point, to get real hot, what you have is like some kind of dragonfly looking, or maybe like the opposite, kind of like a collector that's made of like lenses.
Or focusing sunlight into the
basically a small version of like a
microforge.
A microforge, and you can just drop whatever in there, just melts it.
It'll melt it and then reconstitute it back into the shape or design or whatever it's been squared out onto.
If you focused 5 rays of the sun through one lens, so that they all combined.
Oh, it'd be cracking. Like people are doing the rock breaking with Fresnel lenses from old backlit TVs, taking that Fresnel out and then just melting rocks with it. Easy enough to do.
By lensing it.
Yeah.
And focusing the whole Fresnel energy.
Yeah. Fresnel energy into the one position on the rock, and then
BFE.
Kaboom. Kaboom. Take that. Stick that sunlight in your smoke into your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, look, I think there's something in that, like where I think that's the answer. Like basically on the consumptions on the collection side, you want to have a thing like a microforge, micro kiln, basically that just melts the
whatever's been put in. No, you can adjust it so that it, between, you know, turning it to vapor or just you know, so you can go all the way up to metals and, you know, all the way down to plastics and that. So and everything in between, obviously.
Yeah. Well, plastics are an interesting one. Because still to this day, most plastic, something like a client of mine pointed out to me the other day that you go to Coles or wherever and you get meat and it's in a tray.
Oh, in the container, yeah, container
like
meat.
A plastic, little heat sealed, sealed top,
little black moisture patch on the bottom of it.
Perhaps, yeah. Those trays generally are not recyclable. Like we chuck like the strawberry one in or whatever, you get a bunch of strawberries, that plastic container probably isn't recyclable. Like there's just so much plastic still which isn't recyclable.
Yeah.
I think that the thing is like that with plastic that we try to make a heat scenario to melt it or whatever. I think another way with plastic though is to grind it into a powder
and then reapply it with glue to make up the.
Because I think the thing you want to do with plastic, I guess, is, though heating does do this, is to
the only problem when you heat it is when you break the bonds, you create those microplastic vapors.
Yeah.
Which are dangerous as hell.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, that would be, wouldn't it?
Not sort of stuff you want to mess with on a continuous basis. No.